Good morning, everyone. In this video lesson, we are going to study in detail about tropospheric scatter propagation, duct propagation, extraterrestrial propagation. The various objectives of today's lesson are: we can know about tropospheric scatter propagation, explain about duct propagation, explain about extraterrestrial propagation. So let us summarize what we have studied in the last class. We have discussed about types of wave propagation. We studied in detail about ground wave propagation, space wave propagation, ionospheric wave propagation. There are different types of wave propagations, namely ground wave propagation, which is also known as a surface wave propagation, sky wave propagation, or ionospheric propagation, space wave propagation, which is also known as direct wave propagation or line of sight wave propagation. And we have the other modes of propagation: tropospheric scatter propagation, duct propagation, extraterrestrial propagation. Review of down wave propagation. It is also known as a surface wave propagation. Ground wave is that electromagnetic wave which is guided along the surface of ground. The ground wave being produced by vertical antennas, so they are vertically polarized to prevent short circuiting of the electric component with respect to ground. The ground wave propagation along the surface of the earth induces charge on earth which travel with wave and hence constitute a current. A wave induces current in the ground as it passes and thus loses energy by absorption. However, this is made up to a certain extent by energy diffraction downward from the upper portion of the wavefront. So we have a wave propagating, vertically polarized wave. As the wave propagates over the earth, it tilts over more and more, and the increasing tilt causes greater short circuiting of the electric field component of the wave, and hence field strength reduces. Ground wave propagation is widely used for local broadcasting in the daytime. The ground wave suffers varying amount of attenuation while propagating along the curvature of the earth. It depends upon the frequency, surface irregularities, permittivity, and conductivity. Earth's attenuation increases as the frequency increases, and hence this mode of propagation is suitable for low medium frequencies, that is up to 2 megahertz. So we can make use of frequencies up to 2 megahertz by means of this propagation. This is why ground wave propagation is also called as medium wave propagation. Now we will review about the space wave propagation. Space wave propagation, as the name implies, it is the direct wave propagation. It is also called as line of sight propagation. Space waves are direct waves which travel in straight line. However, since they depend on the line of sight condition, space waves are limited in their propagation by curvature of the earth. Thus, they propagate similar to the electromagnetic waves in the free space. Space wave or line of sight propagation is useful at higher frequencies, that is in the VHF, UHF, and microwave from 30 megahertz onwards. This mode of propagation is through the troposphere. Troposphere is the portion of the atmosphere which extend from Earth's surface to a height about 15 kilometers. Line of sight communication, normally abbreviated as LOS, and we can provide communication up to certain distance. So we have the transmitter and receiver. Signal is propagated in the channel by means of space wave. At the receiving antenna, we can receive the signal directly or ground reflection or from reflections from the other layers. So we have the radio horizon or the distance between transmitter and receiver given by the formula 4 root HT plus 4 root HR, where HT is the height of the transmitting antenna in meters, HR height of transmitting antenna in meters, D is the distance between transmitter and receiver in kilometers, as we have discussed in the previous lessons. We also studied about the ionosphere. The upper part of the Earth's surface absorbs the quantity of radiant energy from the sun. The radiant energy not only heats the atmosphere but also produces some ionization in the form of electrons, positive and negative ions. The part of the upper atmosphere where ionization is appreciable is called ionosphere. We have different layers in the ionosphere: D layer, E layer, F1 layer, and F2 layer. The D layer is the lowest, existing at an average height of 70 kilometers with an average thickness of 10 kilometers. Degree of its ionization depends on the altitude of the sun above the horizon, and thus it disappears during night time. It is the least important layer from the point of view of HF propagation. It reflects some very low frequency and low frequency waves and absorbs medium frequency and HF waves to certain extent. E layer is the next layer, exists at a height of 10 kilometers, 100 kilometers with a thickness of 25 kilometers. Like the D layer, it also disappears during night time. The reason for disappearance is the recombination of ions into molecules. The next layer is the F1 layer, exists at a height of 180 kilometers and combines with F2 layer during night time. Its day thickness is about 20 kilometers. Although some HF waves are reflected from it, most passes through be reflected from the F2 layers. Thus, the main effect of F1 layer is to provide more absorption for HF waves. F2 layer is the most important reflecting medium for high frequency radio waves. Its approximate thickness can be up to 200 kilometers and its height ranging from 250 to 400 kilometers in daytime. At night time, it falls to a height about 300 kilometers, where it combines with F1 layer to form the F layer. So F layer exists during night time, and F layer is the very important reflecting layer for ionospheric wave propagation. Now we will review the sky wave propagation. EM waves in the form of frequencies varying from 1.5 megahertz to 30 megahertz are returned back to Earth from the ionized regions of the upper atmosphere called ionosphere. Different ionosphere layers are used to propagate EM waves in the required direction and to the required area. Propagation of EM waves using ionosphere is called ionospheric wave propagation. Ionosphere passes the signal up to F layer and they will be returned back. We are making use of frequencies up to 30 megahertz. And we also reviewed about the space wave propagation. The space wave propagation is through certain height, the propagation of radio waves reflected or refracted back toward Earth from the ionosphere. It is not limited by the surface of the Earth. And we have ionosphere, it is reflecting, the signal will go up to ionosphere and will be returned back. So it is covering different areas. So having reviewed with these propagation techniques, let us study in detail about the tropospheric scatter propagation now. Tropospheric scatter propagation, it is the lowest layer of the atmosphere. Troposphere is the lowest layer of the atmosphere. Atmosphere consists of different layers: troposphere, stratosphere, and ionosphere. Troposphere is the lowest layer of the atmosphere. It refracts radio waves slightly, providing communication at distances somewhat beyond the visual line of sight. It also absorbs radiation at some frequencies. This type of propagation is also known as tropospheric scatter propagation or troposcatter propagation, or it is also called as forward scatter propagation sometimes. It is responsible for the propagation of UHF signals beyond the horizon. So tropospheric scatter propagation, it is making use of the troposphere for propagating the signal from transmitter to receiver. It is also known as a troposcatter or forward scatter propagation. Tropospheric scatter propagation is a means beyond the horizon propagation for UHF signals. It uses certain properties of the troposphere, the nearest portion of the atmosphere within about 15 kilometers from the ground. So troposphere exists at a height of 15 kilometers from the ground. So tropospheric scatter propagation, it is making use of certain properties of the troposphere. It is nearest portion of the atmosphere. It is about 15 kilometers from the ground. So we can provide a communication through tropospheric propagation. This is the structure of the tropospheric scatter propagation. As shown in figure, we have directional antennas, two directional antennas. One is the transmitting antenna and the other one is the receiving antenna located at the transmitter and also at the receiver. Two directional antennas are pointed so that their beams intersect midway between them above the horizon. So their beams are intersecting midway. Here they are intersecting midway between them. If one of these is a VHF transmitting antenna, this is the VHF transmitting antenna. The other one is the UHF receiving antenna. Sufficient radio energy will be directed towards receiving antenna to make this a useful communication system. So we are making use of the troposphere here. The reason for the scattering are not fully understood, but there are two theories associated with it. So as shown in the diagram, we have transmitter, receiver. The signal will be propagating from transmitter to receiver by reflection from the troposphere. So troposphere exists at a height of 15 kilometers. So the electromagnetic waves are propagating towards the troposphere. Some of the electromagnetic waves are not scattered, they are penetrated. Some of the electromagnetic waves are back scattered. Some of them are forward scattered. These waves are forward scattered. We are interested in forward scatter propagation. The waves that are forward scattered are received at the receiver. So hence the name tropospheric scatter propagation is also called as forward scatter propagation. I repeat, transmitter transmitting the signal, EM waves, it converts the modulated signal into electromagnetic waves. The antenna is pointing out, directional antenna is pointing out toward the troposphere. So these electromagnetic waves are propagating up to the troposphere. Some of the waves will be penetrating through it. They are escaping. There is no scattering here. Some of them will be back scattered. So this energy, we are unable to capture it, the receiver. Similarly, no scattering waves, they are escaping. Some of the waves are refracted through the scatter volume. This is the scatter volume. This volume exists in the troposphere. This is the density, ionization density existing at this height, troposphere. Because of it, some of the waves will be refracted and there is a bending and they are forward scattered. So we can collect the forward scattered electromagnetic waves in the receiver. Receiving antenna converts the received forward scattered waves into electrical signal and then we do the demodulation. The message signal is recovered. Instead of transmitting the signal through ground, instead of transmitting the signal through ionosphere, we are making use of the troposphere scatter propagation. And then we are able to provide a communication from transmitter to receiver. Since we are making use of the forward scatter waves for recovery of the message signal, tropospheric propagation is also called as forward scatter propagation. Two directional antennas are pointed out so that their beams intersect midway between them above the horizon. Sufficient radio energy is to be reflected from transmitting antenna to the receiving antenna to have better communication. We have to use the frequencies such that they will be forward scattered through troposphere. The forward scattered troposphere layers are to be collected in the receiver. So that is the reason sufficient radio energy is to be directed from the transmitting antenna to the receiving antenna to have better communication purpose. This is because of only a small portion of the transmitted energy is scattered and a small fraction of the scattered energy reaches the receiver. So some are not scattered, some are reflected back, some are back scattered, some are forward scattered. So through forward scatter, we are only receiving small fraction of the scattered energy. So the main thing is we are making use of a transmitting antenna, which is highly directional. We also make use of the receiving antenna. They are also highly directional, pointing out toward the ionosphere, troposphere, so that their beams intersect midway between them above the horizon. Sufficient radio energy is to be directed from the transmitting antenna to the receiving antenna to have better communication. This is because of only a small portion of the transmitted energy is scattered and a small fraction of the scattered energy reaches the receiver due to the forward scatter. So it is also known as a forward scatter propagation because of it. There are two theories for explaining the proposed scatter. So if you are making use of the receiving antenna receives sufficient energy. The reason for scattering, the forward scattering is not fully understood, but there are two theories for explaining the proposed scatter. One theory suggests reflections from the blobs in the atmosphere similar to the scattering of searchlight beam by dust particles. The first theory, that is why there is a scatter, it is due to the reflection from the blobs in the atmosphere. They are very much similar to the scattering of searchlight beam by dust particles. The other theory assumes the reflections from the atmospheric layers as the reason for the troposcatter. So we are receiving sufficient energy toward the receiving antenna to make the useful communication system. Only forward scattered waves are received by the receiver. Some of them will be back scattered and some are not scattered, and the reason for scattering are not fully understood. There are two theories associated with it for the scattering of the troposphere. One of the theories suggesting reflections from the blobs in the atmosphere similar to the scattering of searchlight beam by dust particles. The other theory assumes the reflections from the atmosphere layers as the reason for the troposcatter. Tropospheric scatter can give reliable communication over distances about 80 kilometers to 800 kilometers at frequencies 250 megahertz to 5 gigahertz. So we can propagate the signal up to distance from 80 kilometers to 800 kilometers. The frequencies used for tropospheric scatter propagation vary from 250 megahertz to 5 gigahertz. However, the best frequencies for this type of propagation are centered on 0.9 gigahertz, 2 gigahertz, and 5 gigahertz. These are the best frequencies used. Even though troposcatter propagation is subjected to fading, there are some fading effects. What is fading? The fluctuations in the received signal strength because of the scattering. So they are subjected to fading, but it forms a very reliable method over the horizon communication for some regions. So we have propagation for the frequencies from 250 megahertz to 5 gigahertz. The best frequencies used are 0.9 gigahertz, 2 gigahertz, and 5 gigahertz. The actual propagation of forward scatter to the signal instant and the scatter volume is very small, say minus 60 dB to minus 90 dB. And 90 dB, well beyond it, a high power transmitting antenna is used. The antenna must be capable of transmitting higher power. The transmitter should be of high power. In spite of the fact that it suffers from severe fading with little signal scattered forward, troposcatter forms a reliable means over the horizon communication. It does not suffer from the defects of skywave propagation. Skywave propagation, there are so many irregularities, whereas in troposphere, the irregularities are not that much. This method of propagation is often used to provide long-distance telephone and other communication links as an alternative to microwave links or coaxial cables over rough or inaccessible terrain communication to distances from 80 kilometers to 800 kilometers possible through the troposphere. So the main important application areas are they are used for long distance telephone communication and other communication links. They are good substitutes for microwave links or coaxial cables. So it is not affected by the abnormal phenomena that usually affects HF skywave propagation to greater extent. Troposcatter propagation is most commonly used to provide long distance telephone and other communication links. It is especially used to provide alternative to microwave links or coaxial cables over rough or inaccessible terrain. Microwave links makes use of microwave frequencies, point-to-point communication. We require repeater for every 50 kilometers if it is a microwave communication. If we are making use of the coaxial cables and we require more number of repeaters, so attenuation offered by coaxial cable is more. That is the reason now we can make use of tropospheric scatter propagation, a good alternative for microwave links or coaxial cables, especially when the terrain is rough and it is inaccessible areas. The best results obtained from troposcatter propagation if antennas are elevated and then directed down towards horizon. So the antenna must be oriented. They are elevated such that they look the troposphere scatter volume. Both the antennas, transmitting antenna and the receiving antenna must look towards the tropospheric scatter volume so that we can provide better reception at the receiving end. We can make use of space diversity reception system to employ minimizing the effects of fading. So fading exists. In order to avoid fading, we are making use of space diversity. The signal will be diverted through different spaces of the troposphere and they will be returned back, and we can make use of common addition at the receiving end of the receiver to space directed waves, so that we can receive the signal strength more, thereby the fading effects are minimized. So now we study about the duct propagation. This is another mode of propagation. In addition to other modes of propagation, we have duct propagation. It is also called as super refraction propagation. Let us define what is a duct and what is duct propagation. At very high frequency, ultra high frequency, and microwaves, the waves are neither reflected by the ionosphere nor propagated along Earth's surface. If the frequencies are VHF, UHF, and microwave, we cannot make use of ionospheric communication, and we cannot make use of ground wave propagation because of the attenuations provided by the ground wave, because at these frequencies the ionosphere penetration is going on. There are no reflections for those signals by the ionosphere. But the transmitter does occur much beyond the line of sight distance due to refraction of such high frequency waves in the troposphere. So because of the refractions in the troposphere, we can provide much beyond the line of sight distance because of refraction. So such high frequency waves in the troposphere can be transmitted. This type of propagation, we call it as a duct propagation. It is also known as super refraction. We will discuss in detail now. A duct is formed. This is the ground surface. See the diagram. This is the ground. Very near to the ground, because of the density variations in the atmosphere, there is a layer formed. So this layer, it is forming layer is due to the duct. We assume that it is a duct like a pipe. Here there is a ionization is somewhat different and the ionization here is somewhat different. Here the ionization is more. The number of ions present here is more in some areas. Due to that, this forms one region. So if you provide a transmitter at this point, receiver at some other point for the purpose of communication between transmitter and receiver, the signal is radiated. Here they are going to a certain portion of the duct and will be refracted like this, and again going refracted within the duct. This is another way of further refracting the duct. So a duct is formed very near to the surface of the earth, and then The frequency is suitable for reflections within the duct we are making use of, and they will be refracted, striking the ground, again passing through the duct, then refracted, and so on. The waves will be transmitting through the duct like water flowing through the water pipe. These electromagnetic waves are guiding towards the duct. Duct will act as a guiding medium for the electromagnetic waves which we are making use of for this particular communication. In duct propagation, two boundary surfaces between layers of air form a duct or a sort of leaky waveguide. We will also call it as a waveguide. So what is a waveguide? It is a structure. Normally we use waveguides for microwave communication. It is a structure where we have a rectangular structure or circular structure. It is a hollow metallic tube. When we apply microwave signal at one end of the tube by means of total internal reflection, that wave will be passing through the wave. So here this duct is forming a like a phenomena of waveguide. So in duct propagation, two boundary surfaces between layers of air form a duct, which is a sort of leaky waveguide, which guides the electromagnetic wave between its walls. When the frequencies are sufficiently high, these waves are trapped between these layers and travel along the Earth's surface. See the diagram here, which we have seen. A duct is formed here. These electromagnetic waves are refracted through the duct and then they will be further propagating. So when the frequency is sufficiently high, the waves are trapped between these two layers and travel along the Earth's surface. The high frequencies, microwaves, are continuously refracted in the duct and reflected by the ground so that they propagate around the curvature for long distance beyond the line of sight, even up to a distance of 1000 kilometers. Only the thing is that area should be possible for refraction of the signal through the duct and the reflections from the ground. So we are making use of the microwave for duct propagation. The high frequencies, normally the microwaves, are continuously refracted in the duct. There are refractions in the duct because of the ionization density, and reflection by the ground. Refraction in the duct is forming. They are coming to ground. Ground is reflecting the signal, going toward the duct, and again duct is refracting the signal. Ground is reflecting the signal, so that they propagate around the curvature for longer distance beyond the line of sight, even up to a distance of 1000 kilometers. The main requirements for the formation of duct is the temperature inversion. This phenomena should be there. There are some areas there is a temperature inversion. Decrease in temperature with height. When the temperature decreases with height, such type of duct will be formed, and then it is suitable for duct propagation. Now let us discuss about the other types of propagation, which is known as extraterrestrial propagation. It is also called as a communication using satellite. The basic idea of communication using satellite is like this. We have users, telephone users, or data communication users, or mobile users, or TV transmitters. They are the communication transmitters. They are connected to the Earth station. So all the signals coming from the different terrestrial communication networks are coming towards the Earth station. Earth station is a receiving point for all the terrestrial communications. Then they are combined, multiplexing is done inside, and then there is an up conversion in extraterrestrial propagation. We are making use of microwave frequencies. Frequencies greater than 1 gigahertz are called microwave frequencies. Those frequencies will be propagated towards the satellite. The main purpose of communication using extraterrestrial is with the help of the satellite. The satellite to be lifted into the atmosphere. If it is a geostationary satellite, it is lifted up to a height of 36,000 kilometers so that it is geostationary. An observer on Earth is to be assumed to be stationary with respect to satellite. At that height, the time period of revolution of satellite will be same as time period of revolution of Earth, and hence we can provide fixed antennas on the ground. 24 hours round the clock communication will be possible. So this is the most important communication propagation for the recent and modern long distance intercontinental communication. Here we are not making use of any ground, troposphere or stratosphere or troposcatter or ionosphere. The frequencies that are suitable for penetration through the layers of the atmosphere. That is the reason we are making use of the microwave frequencies. They will be microwave frequencies. And here in the Earth station, all the signals are placed onto a microwave frequency uplink. For C-band, we have uplink 6 gigahertz. All the channels are placed on 6 gigahertz and it is transmitted, penetrated through all the layers and will be received by the satellite. The purpose of the satellite is receiving the signal, amplifying the received signal, and then down converting it to downlink frequency, and then retransmission in the desired direction. And we have a communication link from transmitting Earth station to satellite. It is uplink. From satellite to the receiving Earth station, downlink. So we are making use of extraterrestrial propagation, which is also called as satellite communication. We make use of the satellite for this type of communication application. Basics of satellite communication. A satellite is a physical object that revolves around some celestial body. So it is a celestial example, our own solar system. Our own solar system, we have sun and other planets. Planets are revolving around sun. Similar to that, a satellite, an artificial satellite, it is a physical body that is lifted at a geostationary orbit 36,000 kilometers from the Earth, and it is revolving around Earth. So satellite is a physical object that revolves around some celestial body, that is our own solar system. The Earth and other planets are satellites which revolve around the sun. Moon is the natural satellite of the Earth. So based on that concept, we have artificial satellites can be launched into orbit for a variety of communication purposes. The satellite is always keep in the same orbit. A balance between the inertia of the revolving satellite and the gravitational pull of the orbit body keeps the satellite in the orbit. So satellite is revolving in that particular orbit. With respect to ground, it is revolving around Earth. So that satellite will be always in the same orbit because of balance between the inertia of the revolving satellite and the gravitational pull of the orbited body keeps the satellite in the orbit. So the main concept is here we are making use of an artificial satellite. that is to be launched into the orbit for a variety of communication applications. It forms the long distance communication. Why satellite communication? What is the requirement for extraterrestrial propagation or extraterrestrial communication? The reason is that two stations on Earth want to communicate through radio broadcast but are too far away to use conventional means. As we have studied so many modes of propagation, if you want to transmit the signal too far away, global communication, it is not possible by means of any other communications which we have studied in the previous lessons or in this lesson. That is the reason we are making use of the satellite. For global communication, we make use of the satellite. The two stations can use a satellite. It is using the satellite as a relay station for the communication purpose. One Earth station sends a transmission to the satellite. This is called uplink. The satellite transponder, the inside satellite, we have a transponder. So the signal is received by the antenna located on the satellite. That received signal will go to the transponder, convert the signal into downlink frequency, amplifies it, and that downlink frequency will be sent to the second Earth station. So this is called a downlink. So why do we go for satellite communication over the other terrestrial radio communication which we have discussed earlier? There are so many reasons, there are so many advantages of going for satellite communication. The coverage area of satellite greatly exceeds that of terrestrial system. The main important point here is long distance communication. So it covers more area. So the area of coverage is more. Satellite to satellite communication is very precise. From satellite to another satellite is very precise, and it is covering global communication. High bands widths are available for use. Satellite communication is for higher bandwidths. So when the bandwidth is very high, we can provide more number of channels. That is one of the important advantages of satellite communication. Satellite communication is point-to multi-point communication, whereas terrestrial is point-to-point. Terrestrial is point-to-point means it is a network by means of other modes of propagation. Point-to-point means one station will transmit the signal, the other station will receive the signal. Again, the next station, it will be directed toward the next station. So like that, from one point to another point, we will be directing the signal toward the receiver. Whereas satellite communication, a transmitter can transmit the signal. There are multiple users can receive the signal. For example, TV broadcasting, TV transmitter transmitting a signal towards satellite, and many DHF, DTH users, television users can receive the television programs. So point to multi-point communication is possible with the help of the satellite communication. The mobile communication can be easily achieved by satellite communication. Since mobile communication, the mobility is provided to the users. If it is a satellite communication, the mobility without voice can be possible with the help of the satellite communication. Transmission cost of satellite is independent of the distance from the center of the coverage area. Once the satellite is lifted into the space, we can locate earth stations, transmitters, receivers. It is independent of the distance, whereas other modes we need to install, expand the existing systems. And this is the general structure of a satellite system. We have earth station, transmitter, earth station receiver, satellite. Satellite is lifted to a height of 36,000 kilometers from the ground Now we call this satellite as geostationary satellite. The meaning of it is the time period of revolution of satellite will be same as time period of revolution of Earth, so that 24 hours round the clock communication will be possible. So that is the reason the satellite will be lifted to a height of 36,000 kilometers. Earth station A and B communicate each other through satellite. Different messages after multiplexing, they are placed on uplink frequency and will be directed towards satellite. The satellite will receive the signal, process the signal, amplify the signal, down convert to downlink frequency, and then retransmits in the desired direction. This downlink frequency will be transmitted toward the desired direction. Earth station B can demodulate and then demultiplex and transmit it to the different receivers. Similarly, Earth station B can communicate with Earth station E. Through uplink, the signal will go here to the satellite. Processing is done inside the satellite and they will be directed towards station A, and we can provide bidirectional communication so that we can provide much of the global coverage. The main important point here is much of the global coverage. The global coverage is more. So a satellite communication system consists of Earth station transmitter, satellite, Earth station receiver. The users are connected to Earth station through terrestrial network. The terrestrial network may be the telephone exchange or a dedicated link to Earth station. So all the signals are coming towards terrestrial network, and these signals are further directed towards the Earth station. Signals generated by the users are processed and transmitted from Earth station to the satellite. The Earth station transmits the RF modulated signal. That means uplink frequency is transmitted by the transmitting Earth station. Satellites receives the modulated RF signal from all the Earth stations in the network. These are the main functions of the satellite. It receives the modulated RF signal from all Earth stations in the network. The received signal is amplified. So satellite amplifies the RF signal. Down convert the RF signal to downlink frequency. The reason is we have to provide bidirectional communication, transmission through uplink frequency and reception through downlink frequency. So that is why the satellite converting the RF signal to downlink frequency, further amplification is done, and then it retransmits the downlink frequency to the Earth station receiver. So these are all the main functions of the satellite. So the first function of the satellite is it receives the modulated RF signal from all Earth stations in the network, amplifies the RF signal, down convert the RF signal to downlink frequency, retransmit the downlink frequency to the Earth station receiver. The received signal is processed at the receiving Earth station to get back the original message signal. This signal is then sent to the user through terrestrial network. This is the basic satellite system consisting of three satellites, one satellite here, another satellite here, another satellite here, three geostationary satellites. When they are placed 120 degrees apart, the spacing between them is 120 degrees apart, will cover almost 42%. One satellite will cover almost 42.2% of the Earth's surface. This is the coverage area for this satellite. Second satellite covers the next 1/3 of the globe. The third satellite covers the remaining 1/3 of the globe. So we can provide theoretically 3 satellites can cover the entire global communication. So all these details you will be going to study in detail again in mobile satellite communication systems, advanced communication systems. So theoretically, these 3 geostationary satellites provide 100% Earth coverage. In this lesson, we have studied about tropospheric scatter propagation. We make use of the troposphere for the purpose of communication. We also studied about the duct propagation. A duct is formed very near to the ground through refraction and reflection from the ground. Refraction through duct and reflection from the ground, we can further propagate the signal from transmitter to receiver. And we also studied about extraterrestrial propagation, which is also known as satellite communication for long distance. We also studied the basic structure of a extraterrestrial propagation system, advantages of extraterrestrial communication or a satellite communication over the point-to-point communication. Now let us answer quiz questions. Tropospheric scatter is used with the frequencies in the following range. Options are provided. The correct choice is the UHF frequency. Troposphere makes use of UHF frequency. Next question. Advantages of extraterrestrial propagation are: A. Higher bandwidths are available for use. B. The coverage area of satellite greatly exceeds that of the terrestrial system. C. Satellite communication is point to multi-point communication. D. All of the above. So extraterrestrial propagation provides all the advantages. And these are the questions that are derived from the lesson. Explain tropospheric scatter propagation. Explain about duct propagation. Explain about extraterrestrial propagation.